When the shadows are devoured by even darker shadows, the curtain pulls back and reveals a world without light!
On YouTube, we're going to continue that segment of top 10 most broken. And that is, we're going to go with
our most broken traps.
And the thing about traps is it was really the easiest list for us. At first, it was the extra deck, but the traps were the easiest because Konami did make a lot of really broken traps, but remember, they're traps.
They have to be set up and they have to not die.
Exactly, and there's only a few which are obvious. The first like 3 are cards that will never ever see play. I'm sorry, I would say the top 5, but seeing that 2 of them in the top 5 are legal right now in the TCG, I can't say that. Anyway, let's start on the list. So number 10 is Ring of Destruction.
Yeah, this card really generated a lot of draws, which made playing the game that much harder. If you really, if it was a kind of a grind game between you and your opponent and you had a big monster, you could just Ring of Destruction that to set up a draw, and then determining how tournaments go, it makes everything that much more difficult for you all the other players.
This is a card that can be fairly skill-based as it's a 1-for-1 removal, and it does do damage to both players. But the issue with it is that it can never come back just because it would be inconvenient for Konami to have this card legal.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see it at some point coming back to playability. I mean, it can be stopped with, we actually have a lot of things that can stop traps.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, though, Ring of Destruction is a card that definitely had to make the top 10 list, and it did at number 10. And so at number 9 we have our newly limited
ERADICATOR Epidemic Virus.
ERADICATOR Epidemic Virus is a card that auto-won against decks like Spellbooks. When a card like Spellbook of Judgment Day can be activated and your opponent still loses, you know a card's really broken.
Mm-hmm. This made it so going into first turn Big Eye against Spellbooks was not a bad decision, or any number of other cards that dragons can make.
If you could special summon the Big Eye and activate the effect, you can cause all their cards like Starfall and Tower to miss timing. And it's not just about Spellbooks, it's about other decks. You would beat a lot of rogue decks just by activating this card and calling traps or spells, and it would be game because they couldn't do anything, and you got to see their hand. What's fair about getting to see your opponent's draws? Nothing. And at number 8
we have Trap DUSTSHOOT, the pro player stat card.
The card that's the heaviest. It didn't really help this card to not make the list, with it being that the super rare version of this card is the heaviest card in the game. This card was the easiest card to stack in the game's history, so cheaters would all play the super rare version of this card.
You think Adam Korn stacked it?
I don't know.
Probably.
Do you think he turned his blasters upside down?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Trap DUSTSHOOT. Trap DUSTSHOOT was just one of those cards where if you opened it, you automatically won. But a lot of players did stay away from it, seeing that you had to draw it early or not draw it at all. So that's the reason why it's so low on the list. But Trap DUSTSHOOT was definitely one of those cards where you'd rage a little bit if your opponent opened it and flipped it on you, because it just wasn't a fair card.
It gave them every answer to play around your stuff. They knew exactly how and what you were going to play.
Even if it missed, sometimes it was just still too good. Number 7. Royal Oppression.
I want this card to come back.
I think he should kill himself.
It's a really fair card, but both players can use it, but obviously the player that set up their board first and then activated Royal Oppression is going to be in a much better state. Especially, I think Konami banned this card when they released their Synchros because they were pushing Synchros and Exceeds. Oh no, they had it with Synchros, but they were really trying to push for Exceeds to be the big thing, and they've done that now. And Exceeds and Synchros are starting to see their balanced play in extra decks, and now Royal Oppression doesn't seem that far away from coming back to 1 as it had been for so many formats.
I think Vanity's Emptiness should be at 1, let alone this card. I disagree with Yu-Gi-Oh! Overdrive in the statement that Royal Oppression can never come back. With cards like Evoker Logia and other various cards that can protect things like Master Key Beetle, I don't think that Royal Oppression can ever come back. But that's, difference of opinion, good Yu-Gi-Oh! Debate. Hey, tell us what you guys think about that in the comments below. But let's just go to number 6 with our very unfair card. It was so unfair that you had to be a YCS winner to have it, or SJC winner, I should say. And that card is
Crush Card Virus.
Crush Card Virus. Do you realize what this card does? This card beats your opponent after they set up. After they use all their cards to set up, you win the game.
Can you imagine having this legal now? Just summon a tour guide, Sangan, tribute Sangan with Crush card, get a search, and see what your opponent's playing and beat them.
Obviously, Sangan's not legal. He's just on crack.
Obviously, but that's just a hypothetical statement since Crush card is banned too.
I would play it.
I would too.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't play it.
Why not?
Yeah, I'd play it.
Probably.
Yeah, I would play like Pete in the Dark Clown to play this card. I don't even care.
What are you talking about? You play Tour Guide in windups?
Yeah, I do, but it's only a 2 of now. Number 5 is a legal card. Return from the different dimension.
Not for long.
It defines it's defined this entire format. Before this, I wouldn't even have this on the top 10, but this card defines a format. It's an auto game card. Except when they play against me, obviously, since I've beaten it 6 out of 9 times, but I am also really good.
Arrogance? It's there somewhere.
It's a joke. I'm really not that arrogant. A guy commented on the video that said I was really arrogant, and I felt bad. Not really.
But yeah, Return is definitely one of those cards that we all know is going to hit the ban list come December. But regardless of whether it hitting the ban list or not, this card is and will always be broken and will always have defined a format.
And it defined this one. It definitely did. And let's go to number. What are we at? 4 now?
4, and it is another card that is still legal until
Well, it's not still legal. It just became legal.
Probably
emergency
Italy.
limited.
It'll probably get banned by the time YCS Italy.
Could it be our second emergency banned card?
Ever?
Oh my goodness, this card! I can't even believe that this concept is even like around. Like this is an OCG exclusive as of right now until Friday.
It's been banned, hasn't it, for a while in the OCG?
It's been banned pretty much since the first real format of Yu-Gi-Oh! This card is... I don't know why they decided to print it. This is another Konami blunder that I really wish they would fix because they really did a good job of fixing this format. They could not have seen Return being as broken as it was. That is fair that they could not have seen that. But they definitely should have seen 6 cents coming since it's been an OCG ban card forever.
Forever.
And this card is 6 cents.
Obviously.
6 cents. You roll a 6-sided die.
Declare 2 numbers.
5 and 6. Ooh, 33% chance of auto winning.
Am I gonna draw 5 or 6 cards, or am I gonna mill 5 or 6 cards? Lightsworn really won't care.
So will not dragons.
Yeah.
You just basically gotta roll. Hopefully they always roll 1, and they mill their Sacred Sword of 7 stars.
Or their Return, or their Ravine.
Or you mill 4. Ravine, Return, and Sacred Sword of 7 stars. Then I'll be happy with the card. But the thing is, this card just has way too much of a high chance of drawing 6 cards from your deck for free. Could you imagine going into battle and attacking against a Chainburn deck? Let's just go out on that line. And they're like, oh, on declaration I'll activate 6 cents. Oops, rolled a 6. Activate Swift, and then set 5.
So good.
Let's. Oh my gosh, I hate this format. It's how it's gonna turn out with that card.
Jumping to number 3. We have Exchange of the Spirit.
Have you read this card? I wasn't sure exactly how its text is, but the only reason why it's not number 1 on this list is because you have to have 15 cards in your own graveyard. It swaps the graveyard with your deck. So if you open it up turn 1 and you set up 15 cards and set it, you flip it and your opponent has to OTK you or they lose.
Yep.
Or they lose. And a lot of times you can just do it on their end phase and they lose. Like I would just flip it instantly and say kill me or you lose, and then I'd Swift Scarecrow them because I'm better. But no, seriously though, guys.
While the top 10 was really easy to figure out what would be on it, the order of these last 3 was really hard to determine, and this is where we had to put a lot of thought into it. And obviously, Exchange of the Spirit is one of the most broken cards in the game ever printed. So that just goes to show that we had to put a lot of thought into what numbers 1 and 2 would be. And jumping to number 2, we have Imperial Order.
This was the card that I said was automatically number 1 before we started this list. And Brennan and I agreed that this was automatically number 1 and we don't even have to find a way to substitute it. But then we sat down and we're like, holy crap, last turn and Exchange of the Spirit are auto win cards. And we put it at 3 for a second, and then we said, well, the thing with Imperial Order is if you open it, you win.
And it got banned in a format where it was played in a format where all you had to beat it was Dust Tornado or one of MST.
And the thing was about this card was that it's just wow. Like, wow is all I have to say. Why can't Konami create a card that can negate spell cards that we could have see play in this game?
That's
like
not Imperial Order.
Like a 7 Tools of the Bandit, but Konami just ignores the fact that they make Spellbook of Judgment Day and give us no out. Dark Bribe is not an out, guys. Dark Bribe's not even fair. You just, like, It just gives your opponent free cards. I mean, like, it's not. But our number 1 card.
We said it a minute ago.
Oops.
Last turn.
Last turn. I'll activate it and summon a Jowgen.
And you lose.
Or I'll summon a Christia, and you lose by attack and by the card. It's just
it beats everything.
It defies logic. You flip it and auto win. Why is this card a real thing?
If the text of the card said that you and your opponent both special summon monsters at the exact same time, rather saying that you special summon one monster than your opponent does, it wouldn't be as broken, but it would still be banned. It would not generate so many game states that your opponent just had no choice but to win.
It's not fair. And to put it quite simply, that's why the card's banned.
That's why it's number 1.
And that's why it is number 1. But our honorable mentions are funny, because guess what? We didn't have a single counter trap on this list, right? Nope.
No, we didn't have a single counter trap.
But one of the cards we almost had on the list, which is a counter trap, is Solemn Judgment. And that card is stupid. And then another one, and that's a banned card. And another honorable mention is a limited card.
And that's Solemn Warning.
And the other honorable mention is a card that's a 3.
And
Deck Devastation Virus.
We did have to put all 3 of the viruses on this list because all 3 of the we originally were going to put all 3 of the viruses as their own card.
But they do so much different stuff.
Yep, they all are utilized to different extents. Deck Devi obviously beat the rogue decks. Eradicator obviously beat a lot of the metas, and then Crush Card just isn't played because it beat everything. It beat everything.
It wasn't fair. And Deck Devastation Virus, I hate that card because I play windups.
Yep, it auto beats it. Let's see. When Deck Devi was played a lot, what did it auto beat? It auto beat windups. It auto beat Insectors.
It didn't auto beat windups if it was played correctly with Rabbit, but it did auto beat other cards, other decks like Water. It did auto beat Water as long as your opponent didn't have the backup Dragoons with Megalos. So like, there's a lot of things that just could auto win against, and Deck Devastation Virus definitely deserves an honorable mention. But I mean, it's not as broken as its brothers Eradicator and Crush Card, which is why between those 2 cards you can play 1 copy of them in your deck.
Yep. Alright, so that was our top 10 list. I hope you've enjoyed this segment. If you disagree with this list, let us know down in the comments below what your top 10 would be. And then if we like your list enough, we might just ask you to make a video response and feature it on this channel or a video response to this video itself.
So that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Overdrive and TR Bailey signing out. Thanks for watching, guys.
Hope you enjoyed.